Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 2, which consists of me, Nurul Akila binti Ramli, and the two other members, Nurul Shafia binti Mohamed and also Nurina Shafiqah binti Azhar. This video is generally focusing on the topic entitled Leadership and Decision Making from Islamic Perspective. So for the first part, I will explain about the concept of leadership. So what is leadership? Concept of leadership has a strong definition that describes what leadership is. Leadership is the ability of an individual, whether male or female, or a group of people to influence and guide followers or members of an organization, society or team. A leader is a person who has the ability to carry out the task with full responsibility and has a critical role in decision making. Leaders must have a clear goals and objective, motivate their followers and support their team members. For instance, leaders need to encourage the team members to work towards their goals and to offer support when they run into problems. This is the basic responsibility of the leader to motivate and guide the team or individual. In the majority of communities, such as in business, politics, religion and social, leaders are both present and necessary. Leaders are viewed as a people who can make wise, occasionally challenging decisions. Referring to this context, there are some characteristics of leaders that are required in order to produce a good leader, such as self-confidence, strong communication, multitasking, management skill, the ability to think creatively and innovatively, perseverance, willingness to take risks, adaptability and crisis resilience. To become an effective leader, the leader should follow the recent situation of the followers. This kind of leader is called as situational leadership, where the leadership style is adjusted based on the readiness or skill level of followers in a given situation. In addition, it goes well with the contingency theory that effective leadership depends on having the right leader for the right situation. Apart from the characteristic and the role of leadership, qualities of leaders are also important. There are few qualities that are needed by a leader. Firstly, be a good listener. As a leader, he or she should have a good listening skills to hear and understand the issues of team and try to solve the problems as soon as possible, but in a rational way. Secondly, be disciplined and give a good example. This is because people who are in a higher position, such as leaders, always become a role model to his subordinate. Thus, show a good example like being a punctual person and communicate with everyone with a good manner. As known, the concept of leadership can be general and also specific. In this video, we also want to talk further about the leadership from the Islamic perspective. This is because leadership will lead to different skills based on perspective that have been followed as a guidance, whether Islamic or Western perspective. As a Muslim, Islamic perspective must be chosen. Al-Quran and Sunnah are the two primary sources for the Islamic notion of leadership. Generally, Al-Quran is the holy book of Islam, and it contains many verses that focus on the qualities and responsibilities of leaders. Meanwhile, the Sunnah describe the exemplary life of Prophet Mohamed SAW, and it is the collection of saying and action of the Prophet Muhammad, and it provide further guidance on how to be a good leader. According to Islamic point of view, leadership is a sacred position and a trust or amanah from Allah. Leaders are responsible for carrying out Allah's commands on earth. As mentioned in the Qur'an, leaders should also be forgiving and patient towards their followers if they make mistakes. Creating a good community basically is not an easy task. The basis of leadership consists of religion, moral and human sources. All these three components are based on the spirit of fear to Allah SWT. Islam is a religion that has rule for every aspect of life, including for leadership. In Islam, leadership is a crucial subject that has been utilized to spread the Islamic message or da'wah, and as the most important tool for achieving an ideal society that is built on justice and compassion. This is because leaders must consistently uphold and advance justice, as has been mentioned in verse of Al-Quran in Surah An-Nisa, verse 58. Indeed, Allah commands you to deliver the trust of their rightful honors, and when you judge between people, to judge with fairness. Excellent indeed is what Allah advises you. Indeed, Allah is all-hearing, all-seeing. Based on the Sunnah, Islam encouraged Muslims to follow what have been done by Prophet Muhammad SAW to lead the Ummah. There are numerous lessons of leadership from Prophet Muhammad SAW that can be learned. Firstly, responsibility. Whether we are in the position of parent caring for a child or a manager caring for his employee, we need to be aware of the leadership responsibilities in life and make sure that those we are in charge of are taken care of effectively. Being responsible is a part of the Sunnah. Secondly, accountability before Allah. Islam views leadership as an amanah, trust. Hence, individuals in the position of leadership must be aware that they are accountable to Allah SWT. Thirdly, never seek desirely to be a leader. Muslims are instructed not to take up position of leadership or rule over others. We are advised to remember Allah in everything we do and lead for the right reasons. Fourthly, have good character traits. It is essential for the leaders to uphold the Sunnah by being trustworthy and respectful of everyone that they care about or are responsible for, whether that be a child or an employee. The Prophet Muhammad SAW and his companions were great leaders in part due to their excellent personalities. Last but not least, the most important lesson was to maintain prayer. Prayer is very important, as the Prophet Muhammad SAW said, "What differentiates us from the disbelievers and hypocrites is our performance of salah. The one who abandoned it become this misbeliever." At-Tirmizi. Hence, leaders should put all of these lessons into practice, especially for younger generation, because it can help a leader become a good and effective leader. Therefore, as a Muslim leader, it is allowed but not too encouraged to follow the Western view on how to become a leader. Only certain elements can be taken because it may lead to misinterpretation of what is prohibited in Islam. The elements such as injustice, lies, irresponsibility on what they have done, risk are never allowed in Islam. Most Western leaders today just want to increase their satisfaction, profit and level of dignity without thinking about others. This is the reason why leadership in Islam gives beneficials to everyone without discriminations. How about decision making? How does it relate with leadership? Leadership and decision making basically have a close and strong relationship towards each other. This is in line with the understanding that mentioned good quality of leaders may provide an incentive to increase the efficiency and performance of followers in decision making. Moving to the next part, which is decision making. The general concept of decision making refers to the process of deciding about something essential and also for choosing a course of action from either two or more potential alternatives to pursue a solution to a given issue. Every individual makes decisions on regular basis for their personal and professional needs. Decision making is one of the important tasks that requires heavy effort. It is an essential part and parcel of human life. It is a complex process that involves gathering information, evaluating options, and making a choice. Decision making is an essential skill for leaders, managers, and anyone else who need to make choices that affect others. There are many different models of decision making, but there are share some common elements. Firstly, decision making typically involves a series of steps such as identifying the problem or opportunity. For example, what is the decision that needs to be made? Number 2, gathering information, which is what information is relevant to the decisions. Next is identifying alternatives, such as what are possible options. Next element is evaluating alternatives, like what are the pros and cons of each options. And the last step is making a decision, which is to decide which option is the best choice. To relate with our topic, we want to focus on decision making from Islamic perspective. As a Muslim, everyone should keep in mind regarding the Islamic teaching for making any decision that should not harm mankind and the society as a whole. When one needs to make a decision, it is expected that the decision is taken a correct manner so that it benefits to the person. Moreover, people often make decisions in a hurry and suffer the consequences later on. Decisions without rational thinking and consultation often have a negative impact on person life. It is also affect others in the community that people live in. Wrong decision or decision with the improper rational thinking may encounter severe consequences. In Surah Al-Furqan, verse 73, Surah Al-Isra, verse 36, it has mentioned that Islam also suggests critical thinking and logical judgment before making decision. Hence, every Muslim should be careful and pay attention before making a decision. Thus, Islamic decision making is always suggested by the Muslim scholars. To be successful and productive in human life as a Muslim, people have to make right decision by following the guidance of Allah SWT. This is because with one wrong decision, it can keep away people from the mercy of Allah SWT. A wrong decision also keeps people far away from the ultimate goals of Muslim lifestyle. Thus, Islamic decision is needed in every sphere of life, and it begins with family life, where learning and practicing with religious teachings are crucial. The decision people make a Muslim make them liable for life in this world and the hereafter. So people have to be concerned about what they decide. In Hadith Bukhari, the Prophet Mohamed says, the action people do are counted in this world, and it account for the life in the hereafter. It is always important for us to create a good account for confirming our place in paradise. Thereby, part of our action and activities we do in this world must consider the mindful effort for good deeds and blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Moreover, a right decision also saves our effort, times and resources. It also gives people double benefits, which is success in this world and a good account for the day of judgment. Furthermore, Islamic process of decision making says, do not make decision when you are in some situation such as too angry, too hungry, so happy, too much in pressure, not clear about the things, and when you are in a hurry. For decision making in Islamic perspective, one should follow a few factors. Those factors are: number one, when we make a decision, is the decision acceptable or not by Allah SWT? Number two, make decision by following Prophet ways according to prophetic Sunnah such as Shura. Number three, there should be no clash of decision with Qur'an and Sunnah. Number four, the decision you make do not harm yourself and also others in the society. The Prophet Muhammad SAW say, La darara wa la dirar. There should be neither harming darara nor reciprocating harm dirar. Islam suggests decision making through mutual consultation. This is why this video is focusing more on shura. First of all, the term shura is derived from the Arabic word which means consultation or mutual consultation. And it is important to know these three words, which are shara, yusharu, musyawarah, in order to have a better understanding of shura. That means those three words give meaning that are related to consultation. The word shura nowadays is related to exchanging views and consulting others. However, the word shura mentioned 3 times in the Qur'an, which it defines a process by which consensus can be accomplished, thus preventing ideological deadlocks, which eventually guide toward sins and disunity. However, shura or the consultation usually refers to someone who consults other people whom have the expertise in a particular area before making a decision. The practice of shura seems to be akin in various ways either in the past era or in today's corporate management. People in the modern communities nowadays use the term meeting, which is actually carries almost the same concepts as shura if we look properly into it. But somehow there are few things that make a meeting differ from the concept of shura. Shura or mutual consultation has been practiced since the reign of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The practice of shura might have been initiated by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam before the revelation of the Qur'an, verse 38 in Surah Ash-Shura and verse 159 in Surah Al-Imran. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his noble companions had been involved in mutual consultation in all the decision-making processes, and it brought satisfaction to the people. However, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam also practiced shura in all battles, such as in the Battle of Badr and the Battle of Uhud. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam consulted with his companion regarding the strategy of war, and he even tried to consult with the enemy to settle things properly. After the demise of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the ummah were guided based on the teaching of the Qur'an and Sunnah. As Al-Quran is the divine book and the Sunnah of the Prophet was based on divine guidance from Allah SWT, all the decisions that needed to be made were referred to both Qur'an and Sunnah. So, since the element of shura in decision making has been practiced during the era of Prophet ﷺ a long time ago, so let's get deeper about the practice or application of shura at the time of the Prophet's companion, who is Umar al-Khattab. It started when Abu Bakr became seriously ill and realized his death was soon to come, so he immediately appointed his successor. Abu Bakr did not seem to want to leave a conflict in determining Muslim leadership position, as happened in Saqifah Bani Sa'idah. The Muslim army was fighting against the Roman and Persian armies at that time. There certainly required Medina moral and political support. Thus, Abu Bakr decided to prepare a potential successor on this basis. Abu Bakr then consulted with the Uthman bin Affan, Abdurrahman bin Auf of the Muhajirin, and the As'ad ibn Khudai of the Ansar. For the sake of the people, Abu Bakr requested that the agreement on the appointment of Umar as a successor caliph not be leaked to the public. After saying that they all agreed with him on this point, he dictated his will to Uthman bin Affan, which read, "In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful." This is what Abu Bakr desired for the Muslim. Amma ba'du, I have indeed appointed Umar bin al-Khattab as the successor caliph. After that, as At-Tabari mentioned, Abu Bakr looked at the crowd after detecting his will and asked, "Are you happy with this person I appointed as caliph for you? By Allah, I did not do this lightly, nor did I appoint a relative, or I appointed Umar ibn al-Khattab as your successor caliph. So please listen to him and obey his instruction." So the election of Umar al-Khattab at that time was thought to be the head of the state judiciary and objectively judged to be able to carry out the mandate and duties as caliph later. This choice was not immediately decided by himself, but also discussed in advance with his great friends. After it was agreed, the candidate for the successor caliph was announced. The confirmation of Umar as caliph has a very important value for the development of Islam as a political force. At that time, a solid government supported by a fairly sophisticated bureaucracy was established from the Arabian Peninsula, Palestine, Syria, Iraq, Persia to Egypt. The policies he took received tremendous respect from the Muslim except for the Shia group. As known, the leadership of the Ummah has been handed over to Umar al-Khattab through Bay'ah. The control of the Caliph Umar in the government implies that he has the leadership mandate. Umar attempted to uphold the values of deliberation despite having power, but Umar did not want to base all of his action only on the power factor. Even with the deliberation, Umar's power and authorities increasingly demonstrate his integrity to the people, as stated in his speech that he was like one of them, so Umar could not escape from his friends. However, as the head of states, Umar feels responsible and is willing to accept different points of view through various deliberation activities. The appointment of Umar as Caliph through deliberation indicating that Abu Bakr's reign had come to an end, and Umar continued to pay attention to deliberation in the interest of people, while also demonstrating his commitment to Shura. Deliberations existed since Abu Bakr's reign and continued until Umar al-Khattab reign, and from this Umar bin al-Khattab built deliberation, which was the development of the basic principle of deliberation that had existed and were built from the previous leadership period. And under Umar al-Khattab, this principle was strengthened into an institution that respect people's opinion. Beginning with this, Umar expanded citizens' rights and opportunities to participate in government. This can be seen in the establishment of deliberation institution called Majlis Shura within the government. At that time, the formation of this institution demonstrated an extraordinary development. Because of this existence of this institution, a decision is taken from the Majlis Shura institution, and all decisions taken can be more focused and quickly resolved. So that's all from our group. Thank you.